What if Chuck and Jenny ended up together on Gossip Girl? Chuck and Blair were always meant to be endgame, but what if their love story was never a factor? What if the writers allowed Chuck and Jenny's hypothetical love story to build and blossom the whole time? Here's proof that Chuck could have happily ended up with Jenny if Blair wasn't in the picture. Chuck Bass and Jenny Humphrey were never in a full-fledged committed relationship, but they did share a night together that was extremely intense and intimate. It was the night Jenny gave Chuck her virginity. They turned to each other for emotional support to assuage their loneliness on an evening when they both felt rejected and depressed. If Blair wasn't in the picture at all, who's to say that the erotic night between Jenny and Chuck wouldn't have blossomed into something more serious down the line? As a reminder, Chuck asked Jenny for her forgiveness over the attempted sexual assault incident that occurred in season 1, and Jenny granted him that forgiveness. Chuck also stepped up protectively over Jenny to stop her from getting involved in drug sales with Damien Dalgard. Truth be told, the only woman who could possibly fill Blair's shoes for someone like Chuck would be Jenny Humphrey. Little J could have potentially been Chuck's best match if Blair wasn't in the picture. Beyond the fact that he apologized for the incident in season 1, and they shared the intimate moment of Jenny swiping her V-card with him, there are a few other reasons why this pairing actually makes sense. First, Chuck and Jenny were both always so brooding and darkly intense in their approaches to life. They certainly shared their pensive and sardonic outlooks on life in common. Chuck was the definition of brooding, and Jenny matched his energy well, especially in season 3 when she started dressing with a more gothic fashion sense. Second, here's something else they could relate on if they ever started dating: the fact that they both were constantly butting heads with their fathers. Chuck never got along with his father, Bart Bass, and Jenny spent the bulk of Gossip Girl feeling oppressed and controlled by her father, Rufus Humphrey. As a reminder, Bart always made Chuck feel inadequate and inferior on professional and personal levels. Rufus always cock-blocked Jenny's dreams of becoming a successful fashion designer at a young age because he was jealous he couldn't pursue his dreams of becoming a successful musician when he was her age. Bart made Chuck think he was to blame for the death of Chuck's mother, and later, Bart fully tried to murder Chuck. Rufus raised Dan and Jenny under one roof, yet Rufus let Dan do whatever he wanted while clipping Jenny's butterfly wings of creativity every chance he got. Chuck and Jenny could have had heart-to-hearts about the frustrations they felt dealing with Bart's cruel cynicism and Rufus's blatant sexism. Third, they'd be a great match because they both understood the glory and power that came along with being badasses in their respective fields of interest. Chuck had it a bit easier since he was born into riches, but as he grew older, he began exhibiting signs of business prowess, maturity, and seriousness regarding his career path and entrepreneurial spirit with the Empire Hotel. In comparison, Jenny was always a hard-working girl who worked long and arduous hours for Eleanor Waldorf before deciding she wanted to go her own way and launch her own distinct fashion line. If Chuck and Jenny dated, they could certainly resonate when it came to their shared hunger for success. Last but not least, Blair herself crowned Jenny as the sole biatch in charge when Blair was about to graduate from Constance. Blair trusted Jenny to take over as Queen Bee on campus when the time was right. Blair spent time searching high and low for a successor to take over, and ultimately, she settled on Jenny because she knew Jenny had what it took. Who better to fill Blair Waldorf's shoes with Chuck than Little J, since even Blair herself acknowledged Jenny's splendor. Social media users who've seen the show have weighed in with their opinions. One person wrote, "Chuck and Blair are the best couple on the show, but I could see Jenny being a great match for Chuck in some alternate universe." If Chuck wasn't destined to end up with Blair, do you think he could have been endgame with Jenny? Let us know your thoughts about Chuck and Jenny together in the comment section below.